day 7 of 31 wild Halloween review nights. I did it. Hey there, welcome back to my little Halloween series that's probably going to drive me insane by the end of October. Today, we're going to continue our conversation of the film franchise Hotel Transylvania. Now, yesterday we talked about, or I talked about, not you, I talked about the first film, Hotel Transylvania, a story of Dracula creating a hotel exclusively for monsters, but also a home for his vampire daughter, Mavis. Don't know why I had to say vampire daughter. Clearly, it would make sense that she's a vampire. Anyway, in that story, a human named Jonathan ends up coming into the hotel by accident, and now Drac needs to hide the fact that he is a human from everybody else so nobody starts screaming and getting scared themselves. You're gonna scare the monsters. Well, the first movie did so well that they called Adam Sandler and Selena Gomez and everybody else in the film back up and said, hey, we're gonna do a sequel. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. If you haven't read the title, didn't see yesterday's video, or even get the hint that we're talking about the sequel today. This is Hotel Transylvania 2. Released in 2015, we pick up 3 years after the first movie. Jonathan and Mavis have taken their relationship to the next level and have gotten married, and the hotel is now accepting both monster guests and human guests. A little more time has passed, and we see that Mavis has given birth to her and Jonathan's son, Dennis. Drac is ecstatic about having a grandson, but is very curious to see if he is truly half vampire, as it seems that he's only been showing his human sides. As everybody prepares to celebrate Dennis's 5th birthday party, what is it with this series and their stories forming around birthdays? This is the 2nd time. Drac is extremely curious to know if Dennis is half vampire, so he puts up a little plan to check for himself. Even though Mavis forbids it and even has thoughts of potentially moving to Los Angeles with Jonathan so Dennis can grow up in a nice environment and not a monster environment, Drac sends Jonathan and Mavis off on a little vacation to take time for themselves, while Drac takes care of Dennis. Taking care as in putting him through a bunch of tests to see if he is truly half vampire. Yeah, this is an animated sequel. I could just tell based on the story, based on the context of what's in the story and everything that happens in the film. Alright, so first off, I liked it. I thought it was cute. There were a lot of funny moments. I laughed a lot at the blobby parts. There's this like greenish blob character named Blobby. And he was in the first one too, but he had a more prominent role in this one. And there were a lot of funny bits that I liked from him. Him attached to the taxi car thing that they have to drive. He attaches himself because he wants to come on the trip. And at one point, they make a turn, he just goes completely flying off. And I thought that was the end. I thought that was the last we were seeing of the character. Maybe he'd pop up at the end, but he ends up showing up at one point. He's got sticks everywhere. I thought that was pretty funny. A lot of the messed up childhood things that they promoted in this film, like how Drac used to sing Mavis to sleep in the stories and stuff, all that stuff referring to things from Mavis's childhood. That stuff I really found entertaining and creative. You know, keeping in mind that things are kind of the opposite with these monsters. But I mean, if I have to sum up this film, it's that it's definitely goofy. It is very goofy. A bit more goofier than the first movie. And you can take that in any way you want. It can be both a good and bad thing, but you know, all I'll say is with this film, you know, the first movie, it knew how to pace the serious moments and the funny moments. You know, the bit with Drac talking about Martha, compared to this film, like, it feels like that's kind of gone. There aren't that many serious bits in this film, and even when you think they are trying to be serious, it's kind of overshadowed by all the comedy in this film. Like, I think the only serious bit is, you know, where Dennis runs away at one point because Drac's dad, the grandfather in the film, Vlad, I believe his name is, he shows up for the birthday, which we'll touch upon him as well, but, you know, he shows up, tries to scare the fangs out of Dennis because he doesn't realize that he's half human, and that kind of turns a little dark at one point. I'm like, okay. Then Dennis runs off, and he's all upset. Him and one of the werewolf kids, one of the doggy kids, they run off and then they get there's a big battle scene. It's like, we gotta save Dennis now, That can be seen as serious, but it is kind of overshadowed by a little goofiness. I don't know. I felt more feeling in the first film, and this film was just more of like, just something to sit down and laugh at. In a good way with its jokes, but I don't know. I got more emotion from the first movie. Obviously, also with these films, seeing that we are focusing on the child of a vampire and a human, there is the obvious question of, is he going to be half vampire, half human? When's his vampire side going to come out? Like, that was the main whole thing of the film, is, is Dennis really half vampire? And the answer is obviously yes. And I know, coming from an adult, which I technically am now, I know that he's going to be a vampire, but obviously kids, which this film is made for, obviously they're gonna wonder, is he gonna be a vampire and stuff? But I mean, it's made very obvious. That story's been done multiple times to where you just kind of know what's coming. There really wasn't anything new brought to it other than like the jokes that were thrown in with like throwing him off the tower, which was shown in one of the teasers. I remember when that teaser came out too. I watched it in full. Despite me not seeing the first film at that point. The jokes are fresh with what they do with Dennis. But, I guess for me to say I expected a little more, that's saying a lot because I really don't know what I expected in the first place. I was just kind of interested to see what they were going to do with this film. That's just kind of my overall opinion on the film. One thing that I feel like they did also kind of glimpse over, maybe just for me, I mean, for somebody else who watched it, maybe you disagree, but I feel like they really missed out on focusing a lot on the hotel aspect of the movie, since it is called Hotel Transylvania. In this film we established that monsters and humans, they're now in the same hotel together. And a hotel that was made specifically for monsters is not really made for humans. So I would have liked to see more on like how that's affecting the story as well. I know that probably would have added another story plot, but I was very interested to see where that was going, and we just kind of glossed over it a little. There could have been a lot of funny bits from that. But I guess we do kind of make up for that little aspect of the story because we focus on Jonathan's family in this story, who take up a good number of scenes. They're shown at the beginning, they're shown in the middle when Mavis and Jonathan go visit them. They are at the end, they pretend to be zombies. And all for Drac's dad, who shows up at the end, he was hinted at a few times in this film, and he just shows up at the end. I felt like he was just mentioned, and he just showed up, and now it's like a big deal. Like, okay, this is where the story is going now. And it's possible that he was brought in to give the story a boost, to have it go on and bring it to its end. Like, this is the final piece that's going to make this story really stand out in its final act. I don't know. I just kind of feel like he came out of nowhere a little. I guess I should comment on this because I did comment on it last time. There is also a dance party at the end of this movie. There's a few times where they reference pop culture music. Like, there's one bit with Drac showing Dennis that he could break dance. It's like, well, that kind of comes out of nowhere. I smell a forced joke. But there is a dance party at the end. It doesn't last very long like the song that's sung in the first movie. I still don't get it. I still don't get the whole thing with dancing at the end of an animated film. I don't get it. And I probably never will. And that's it. That's it for Hotel Transylvania. That was Hotel Transylvania 1 and Hotel Transylvania 2. Those are all my thoughts on the sequel. If I had to choose, because I know I'll probably be asked by somebody, like, oh, what do you like better? I definitely like the first one better. And that's kind of a common thing people say when they talk about a film series or franchise in this case. The first one is really good. This one was cute. I'm not going to lie, I did get some enjoyment from the sequel, but if I had to choose, I like the first one better. So that's all the stuff with Hotel Transylvania. Now, if you are familiar with this series, you might know, but, and this was only released a few years ago, actually, but Hotel Transylvania does have a third movie. It is a trilogy of films, and I'm also aware that they have a Disney Channel animated series. There's also some work going into a fourth movie, But the third movie is the main reason why I bring this up. So they did do a third movie, but we're not going to be talking about that. That's not tomorrow's video. I'm done with the Hotel Transylvania series, only because the third movie is about summer vacation, and as much as it would be interesting, I haven't seen it, but as much as it would be interesting to see what these monsters do over summer vacation, I'm probably expecting, oh, they're going to make it spooky, you know. I don't feel like that it fits with the context of this specific series, because again, I am trying to focus a lot on specifically just Halloween type stuff. I know somebody will probably argue with me, but I just didn't feel like the third movie fit within the catalog of stuff that I was talking about. I almost actually didn't talk about the second movie, but I had a chance to see it, and after I saw it, I was like, okay, so I swapped one movie that I was going to do, which really wasn't too much Halloween-y, and put Hotel Transylvania 2 in its place. But that's where I'm basically going with that. So there is no third movie review. You're not getting that tomorrow. Instead, we're going to talk about something that I've never seen before. It's a film I was exposed to. I had a chance to see it on TV one year, and I completely missed out. So now I gotta rent it off of YouTube, and I gotta watch it. And I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna come back here, and I'm gonna tell you about it. And it looks like an interesting story, so I'll give it a shot. So for me, that's gonna be a few days from now, because I need to get the movie. But for you, that's going to be within the next 24 hours. So come back tomorrow and you will see what exactly I am talking about. Will I ever make sense? Guess you gotta come back and find out. Hopefully you guys are also enjoying the series so far. I know we're on day 7, but we basically have gone a whole week, so hopefully you enjoy it. We still got the rest of the month to do, so buckle in, folks. With all that said, that brings us to the end of the video. Thanks for watching The Wild Viewer. I'm The Wild Viewer, and you just saw me review a thing.